Do you want to know how to increase your sales page conversion rates? What if the difference between a struggling product and a multi-million dollar brand came down to just one thing, your sales page and your brand messaging? Today's guest knows exactly how to optimize for those conversions. Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley. I scaled my own brand from 0 to 8 figures in sales, and now my mission is to take it to over 9 figures. On my journey to 9 figures, I bring you unfiltered conversations with the smartest minds in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Michael E. Gerber, and Stephen Pope from My Amazon Guy. Today, I am excited to welcome a guest who truly embodies what it means to scale brands with creativity and precision, Mohamed Elhawary. Mo is a creative strategist who has helped scale 8 and 9-figure D2C brands in health, wellness, beauty, skincare, and more. He comes from a pharmaceutical background, but what really sets him apart is how he blends data and customer insight to lead content strategy. He's been behind over 1,500 pieces of performance-driven content, from UGC to statics to direct response ads. On top of that, he's hands-on with product development, creative systems, and helping teams actually execute and scale with clarity. With that introduction, welcome to the show, Mo.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you very much. Much appreciate that. Thank you.
Mo, I'm excited to have you on the show because you've worked with some big brands in helping people really scale into the 9 figures. You've seen what's working for 9-figure brands, and you've helped coach and guide brands to really get to that point. But to start off the conversation, I want to start focused on like maybe some of the data and the metrics that you're seeing going on in the e-commerce marketplace right now as just some benchmarks, because you've been so involved. You have access to lots of data that others probably don't see. And so I'd love to start with, why don't you walk through like contribution margins, net profit margins that you're seeing across the board that are healthy or below average, and so that our listeners can kind of benchmark themselves in terms of, can I get this brand to scale to 8 or even 9 figures?
Of course, yeah, we can do that. I have prepared some numbers for us to go through today across different industries: apparel, fashion, skincare, health and wellness. Of course, every brand has its own unique numbers, though having some benchmarks would help. So to start with net sales, from what I noticed in 2025, or shall we say 2024, 2025, the net sales are almost between 80 to 85%. Their gross profit margins is around 55%. Their contribution margin is around 25, 28%. As we all know, the higher, the better. Their EBITDA is almost 8%, thanks to their OPEX. Their sales and revenue, they grow year over year, according to last year, by 15%. Gross margin improved by 3%. Maybe this is potentially due to COVID, due to other political, geographical location that has occurred. So, because as we all know, whenever someone has disasters, someone else is benefiting from that. So that could be the reason. Their contribution margin, with that being said, declined by 5%, which makes complete sense due to international transactions, shipping, import, export, new tariffs. Whether you're pro or anti, that's not the problem, but that has led to that. So these are some of the numbers that I have come across. 20%, and this is something my warrior brain, whenever I speak to business founders and they're in the 8 and 9 figure arena, only 20% understand their data and use it well. 20% have the data but do not know what it means, and 60% go based on their gut feeling.
And when you say like the data, are you talking about like their financials in the business? Like 20% actually are looking at their accounting books at the end of every month, analyzing them, making business decisions based off of that. 20% maybe look at them, but don't really analyze it. And then you're saying 60% just are going by the seat of their pants and hoping that there's money in the bank account at the end of every month.
Frankly speaking, not just their accounting, any numbers, whether it's marketing, financial, any numbers, whenever they want to make any decision, those 60%, they make it based on their gut feeling. I want to go after this audience. Why? Well, because I believe this is usually how they know they are part of the 60%. They never tell you, well, according to my Amazon sales, according to my Shopify sales, I can only 20% of those do that. Usually people say, well, my competitors, I have seen this ad, and that's what I want to mimic. Okay, but do we have deep data into why we want to do that? 60% of the time, the answer is no.
Interesting. So I guess if that's the case, I mean, you have a lot of brands that come to you for coaching, consulting, for you to help them scale to those 9 figures. What are some of the biggest like pain points that they're experiencing, and how do you walk them through being able to scale up their business?
Great question. Number one is trust. This is usually the number one issue they come up with, and they come to me with. Mo, we're in the 8-figure. We have been in the 7-figure, 8-figure for so long. It's not passing that stage. Want to go to 9 figures. Okay. What do you think we need to do? That's what I usually ask them. What do you think we need to do? Most of them, ironically speaking, they suggest to cut costs to do that. And I always use this example. If you're in the middle of the ocean and your boat is about to sink, what are you going to do? Are you going to put more gas to reach the island? And if you couldn't, then you swim the rest? Or are you going to save the gas? The answer is pretty much easy. You just put more gas. When it comes to in practice, not everyone do that. Most people want to save the gas. Saving money will never help you scale. In order for you to scale, you need to spend. It is not rocket science. No, but what if I save? Is that bad? No. Saving would maximize your contribution margins. That's the only thing you will get. If you make $10 and your cost is $4, so you basically your gross profit is $6. Okay, if we save the $4 and we make them $1, that will not change the $10. Still $10. They're not going to make a difference. And you're here because you want to scale, not to save. So usually the first solution is that they need to spend. Second solution is we need to look at data holistically. Meaning, what most of them do, of course, they run ads. So, even if they do it organically. Okay, how are we doing with your media buying strategy? Well, Meta's not doing good, so we're shutting down our ads and we're putting more gas on Google. How did you know that? Because most of my sales are coming from Google. Right. Who told you that most of those sales are not influenced by Meta? One of my case studies we're doing really great on Amazon, and they decided at some point to turn off all of their Meta ads. Instantly, their Amazon sales shrink by 35%. Instantly. Why? Because what you do not know in the arena where we live, I might see your ad on Facebook and buy from Google, and buy from Amazon, and buy elsewhere, come again and buy back later, even with the referrals. So we need to understand things holistically. These are usually the main 2 points I focus on, followed by creative strategy, which we will talk about as we go.
I love that. So what you're saying most of the time is if people want to scale, you're saying they need to spend more money. Okay. So if they want to spend more money, Mo, where is the best place to spend more money? Let's say you've got a $20 million brand right now that wants to be able to scale to 100 million. What's the thought process that you walk them through to know what are the levers that they should pull, or where should they invest their money in order to scale up to 9 figures?
I would ask them, tell me more about your customers. You tell me about your customers, I tell you where we can expand. Let me tell you why they usually spend the $20 million on one plate. When they start the business, they're very happy that they're having sales. It feels great when you do that. So if, let's say, you started with Google at the beginning and Google was crushing it, and then you decided to give Meta a try and it didn't work for the first week or two, you're going to absolutely pause Meta for now and put more gas on Google, which, by the way, I love this approach. No questions about that. But it is not a scalable approach. Your scalable approach should be 70 to 80% towards what's working, 20 to 30% towards testing. Very simple rule. And I did not invent this rule, I learned it. So 20, 30%. Mo, are you telling me 20, 30% should always go towards testing? Yes, with anything. With your creative, with your budget, with anything. You should always have 20 to 30% towards testing. Now, my thought process to do that is to ask them about their customers. And most of them, they fall within or under the 60% that we talked about earlier, which is don't understand the numbers or their data. Josh, who is your ideal customer for your business? Woman. Okay, carry on. Woman age 20 to 70. Yeah, I know. This is usually the age that anyone is legally allowed to make a purchase. But can we narrow that down? Yeah, 40 to 70, 40 to 60. They don't have data. So that's the first thing I usually do, is to dig into their personas. And how do I do that? By trying to understand the pain points that their customers have, trying to understand the sociology behind their customer, the psychology behind their customer, and more importantly, and I will tell you why this is very important later, more importantly, the deep reason why people buy your product. If you type on ChatGPT, apply or exercise the 5 why strategy, ChatGPT will help you with it. Because what happens is ChatGPT will tell you, Josh buys your product because of that. Why? Because of that. Why? Because of that. Why? Because of that. Why? Because of that. So you understand the core value. Why do you buy my product? Because they want to lose weight. Why? To look pretty. Why to look pretty? Because they want to look attractive to their partners. Why do they want to look attractive to their partners? Because their partners are about to cheat on them. And why their partners are going to do that? Because of that. Okay. So that's what we need to start targeting. That's exactly where I can tell you where we can go. If I know that most of your customers made the purchases at 8 in the evening, and you said women, why is that? I don't know. Well, let's find out. And then we'll find out that most of them, excuse me, are women who are, let's say, mothers or full-time moms or whatever that is. Okay, now I understand. So I understand why she makes the purchase at 8 or 9, because maybe she's working whole day from 9 to 5, pick up kids, drop off kids, and then assist with homework, cooking, etc., right? And then this is the only time when she's available. Okay, now I know more about your customer. Can we know exactly how their day look like in more details? Does she have access to a vehicle? Does she use public transportation? Because all of that affect her mood. What does she actually do for a living? Of course, we don't do this for every single customer. When we talk about someone who has a budget, $20 million budget, but you will be able to have an idea or a theme of your customers. You will be able to understand, well, their age vary between 45 to 65. See, we narrowed from 20 to 70 to 45 to 65. They have professions. Great. Most of them are full-time moms. Fantastic. And the reason why they do it at 8 p.m. is because this is the only time they have time, which will tell me that this type of customer or persona, most likely the way she communicates with her kids is not by having iPhone or phones or messages. No, mostly through sticky notes. So this is usually how she will be communicating with her kids. So that means sticky notes is part of her daily routine. So if we ever want to make an ad, we should make sure that we use sticky notes. If most of the customers, let's say, make the purchase from Amazon at 8 p.m., then I need to know this is where I need to expand. If I find out that most of my buyers first know about my product from Meta, and then using retargeting techniques, they go to Amazon, then this is what I need to consider as well, using analytical tools that we can go through as we go.
I love that. So really what you're saying is like you're just trying to dive deep to understand who the actual customer is so that you can create better like content for them. Is that it? And then it's the same thing for the sales page, right? Whether it's on Amazon or Shopify, like you're just trying to speak to that specific customer avatar. So if that's the case, like what tools are you utilizing, Mo, to like really get inside like the mind, or how are you analyzing data to say like, no, this is exactly the customer we have? And, you know, like you mentioned, like sticky notes need to be included there so like people can like self-identify or see themselves in that product. Give me your, like, what tools are you using to do that?